Hey, welcome everybody to the World of Ability Podcast Network. My name is Emily Gomer and a podcast engineer here. And excited to bring you another episode of the World of Nutrition with Emily, with Marilyn Lemire. And so we're here every second Friday of the month. And we have a great guest today, so I'm going to pass it over to Marilyn to take this off today. So welcome, Marilyn.
Well, hello, Emily. Thank you so much. And today I have two amazing guests. Super thrilled to have them, and we're going to learn so much. So, our first guest, Sarah, she is the founder of Hope Rose, a metaphor and movement for transforming our ashes into art. Previously a sponsored ultra endurance athlete and expert on all things nutrition, health, wellness, fitness, mindset, and transformational healing, Sarah provides practical insight into becoming the human you are made for. She's been featured on the Today Show, NBC Nightly News, First for Women. She is the host of the podcast Pain to Purpose, a passionate speaker, author, and coach. Sarah, thank you so much for being here. Mahalo.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Please tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you help women or people.
Yeah, so nutrition, wellness, I approach it from the mind, body, spirit angle. We can't have nutrition without having a healthy mind and a healthy spirit. And so a lot of nutrition is really just focused singularly. And so throughout my years of work, I really noticed that wellness in general is very siloed out. So somebody would be very focused into fitness or very focused into nutrition or yoga, more of like the mindset stuff. And so my approach is we have to integrate all three of those essential elements in order to have the best health, the best relationship, whatever we are desiring in life. And so my approach is really to take a human, a person of any age, of any demographic, and whatever they are struggling with or wrestling with is to bring them into a state of coherence. And so really diving into their environment, external and internal, like how noisy is their internal operating system if they are thinking negative thoughts, that is directly going to correlate to their weight or self-sabotaging behaviors or not being able to stick with healthy habits when they initially are excited about them. And then, a day or two into it, or maybe a week, or the proverbial, January 1st New Year's resolutions, by the end of the month, they no longer are engaged in those healthy habits that they set out to do. So my approach is really kind of looking at the psychology of the person first to get them dialed into like, okay, well, do you even believe you need to eat healthy? Do you deserve to, eat nourishing food? Where does that belief come from? And so, starting from kind of the beginning, these beliefs usually originate in childhood around the age of 7 or before the age of 7, like 5 and 6. And diving into that aspect of it, unraveling those beliefs, and then we can kind of address what's happening externally of like, well, what is the motivational barrier you have? What do you feel like you lack in the nutritional food aspect of it? Why would you reach for something that's unhealthy versus something that's healthy? And so it's a multifaceted approach.
That's amazing. So I'm curious, you said 7 years old. I'm wondering if you can elaborate more on that.
Yeah, so all of our beliefs and habits and how we are like programmed for our adult life originate before the age of 7. And so that's why our childhood experiences are so crucial. We can have little t traumas, we can have capital T traumas, and trauma doesn't have to be something super, you know, uh, major. It can be even a lack of love or empathy or just neglect. So it can be, big level T abuse, or it could even just be a lack of a nurturing environment. Yeah, certainly could be fighting and screaming, or like whatever is that the child is internalizing. That's where their beliefs get set up. So that, the common ones are, I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, I'm, undeserving. So really those beliefs are all set kind of in stone by the age of 7. And so if any parents are listening, that's why I always encourage us to, like, let's raise healed children, so that way as adults we don't have to spend years unraveling all that stuff. And it's not from a place of, parents, you better get it right. It's more of a place of like, oh, this is room for an opportunity that I can shift my parenting, an opportunity to take other coaching courses or work with a coach to become a better parent, not necessarily a parent, but a better adult. So that way you can parent in a more healed way and you're not spewing your childhood wounds onto them. So one of my, I guess, passions, I have many passions, but one of them is really raising healed generations. And it starts with us adults. And so there's many ways to do that.
That's fantastic. That reminds me of a time earlier this year, actually, where my 15-year-old was going through some issues and, had shared that he didn't want to live to his high school class. And that made me reflect on, okay, well, how am I showing up? And I actually went back to all the times that I didn't feel safe and maybe I didn't want to live, and so heal myself through that so that I can be a better supporter for him. I'm curious, what do you recommend as far as, things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's so brave and courageous. So I want to acknowledge you for doing that. But that's exactly what, we all should be driven to do. I will also say beliefs and conditioning is handed down through generations. And so I've even noticed in my life, I remember like my grandfather, who's since passed away. He passed away a couple years ago, a few months shy of his 100th birthday. And I mention his age because right up until his deathbed, he never forgot what his father told him. So that would have been my great great grandfather, who I've never met. But one of the things he told my grandfather when he was a young boy, you're a little runt. You're never going to amount to anything. And that belief stuck with my grandfather for almost 100 years. And it just didn't stick with him. It trickled down to my mother. It trickled down to generations. And I was thinking about that just actually recently. I'm like, where is that playing up in my life? Maybe not specific, but there's still that theme. And so these things can go back it can go back generations. And so it's really crucial to kind of take that radical responsibility of like, oh, I am presented with this. Let's view it as a gift. I'm not a big fan of lessons necessarily. I like, because I have trauma around that. I like the word gift, and I think that's more uh, digestible. Since we're talking about nutrition, it's more, nourishing, a gift. So let's take this gift that, this belief, this statement that my great grandfather told, my grandfather, maybe his father told him something similar. How can we clear that out? And so it's really sitting with that. And it's like an internal visual process of just kind of visualizing and clearing that up. One practice that I do daily is there's 2 different statements. And if you're watching this or listening to it, I would like pause this so you can write it down. So the first statement is, I forgive myself for judging myself as, and you put in the judgment that you have. So you can so for example, like, I forgive myself for judging myself as being bad, as the truth is I'm a miracle. And so you do these statements as often as I do them every single morning, and I do them, I write them out, and then I also like do them just in my head throughout the day as well. And so that kind of clears up that karmic generational trauma, if you will, and it stops it in the gap. That's a really helpful statement. So I forgive myself for judging myself as blank, as the truth is blank. And then the second one is I forgive myself for buying into the misbelief blank as the truth is. And what these statements do is it lets you off the hook, and it clears up that generational trauma. It clears up whatever is going on in your life, whether it's weight loss issues, whether it's some disease that you're wrestling with, whether it's a relationship. And so those are really helpful statements. I have them on my phone, I write them in my journal, and that is a really helpful practice. And then also just embodying what's the opposite of shame, what's the opposite of hate, what's the opposite of judging, and embody what that feels like. So does it feel warm? Does it feel like the sunshine? Does it feel like the beach? And that also kind of rewires your brain, but it rewires your nervous system, DNA, and it clears up whatever's happening in the generational lineage through, some things are really deep, some things, are ancestral for, generations. Some things maybe it's one generation, other things, are 10. So it's a really helpful practice.
Yeah, for our listeners, I'm curious if you could just share a little bit more about forgiveness and why it is so important.
Forgiveness. Yeah, it's forgiveness really comes down to forgiving yourself. So many people, myself included, we hold ourselves accountable for things that we shouldn't have done in the first place. And so when we let ourselves off the hook of like, oh, I made that bad choice, I shouldn't have done that, it's really so forgiveness and responsibility. I know, very triggering words to most people, but personal responsibility is simply, and this has been a work in progress for myself too, but personal responsibility is nothing to be scared about. It is literally just being able to respond to the things that have happened. How can I reframe this? And part of that is forgiveness, and it's can forgive the other person, but it's really about forgiving yourself and letting yourself off the hook. It's not so much about forgiving somebody else, because that's more of a they still have power over you. So this is all kind of like, again, it's mind, body, spirit intertwined. And so you reclaim your power by letting yourself off the hook. Like, let's say you're judging yourself that you got into a relationship. It was good. And then you kind of like looked at it and you're like, oh, I should not have, I'm a bad person for getting into this relationship. In terms of like nutrition or like specifically like health wise, like I shouldn't have eaten that cookie. I went to this party and there was, all these sweets and things that didn't nourish me. And so it's not about the other person. It's really about taking responsibility. Like, I made that choice, not from a place of judgment, but like, oh, I made that choice, and I can let myself off the hook by doing these forgiveness statements. And that's how you reclaim your power. And when you can get power in your life from that energetic shift, then things begin to naturally unfold for you that you have been desiring all your life, or 6 months or 2 years.
I love that so much, Sarah. Please, I absolutely believe in 100% personal responsibility myself. For somebody that is maybe not understanding or not knowing how to shift into 100% personal responsibility, how would you encourage them to see and reclaim, themselves and having that personal responsibility? How would you shift that conversation? I'm so curious.
Well, how long do you want to stay stuck, sick, and sad? uh, that's it's a self inquiry practice, and the moment you decide, oh, I would like to live a different life, a different meaning. I would like to live the life that I know I'm meant for. I would like to, I desire, I yearn, I crave. Like, I know there's something more to life. And ask yourself, oh, am I really willing to do the work to get there? Or am I okay just living like how I am? And it's kind of binary. It's kind of, one or the other. And if if you believe in your core, or even half of your core, that you were made for more, and you don't want to stay stuck, sick, and sad, then you can move from a place of empowerment, like, oh, I'm going to have to do some deep work here. And so it's asking yourself really tough questions of like, what is driving my propensity to stay stuck? Why? What is keeping me sad? Do I get a high from that? There's some kind of like kink, I'll use that word, like kink in it, of like, you can get a charge from it. And that's what a lot of people are living in. Our world's kind of in this victim, and a situation just happened recently. And so victim consciousness is another passionate topic that has kind of recently kind of come into my field. One, because my personal story is quite heavy, it's quite deep, and I didn't see a way out of it. And I've been working with a fabulous person who has really kind of helped shift my perspective and ownership of what has happened, and coming at it from a place of personal responsibility. And it's opened up avenues for me. And so that's why I'm passionate about this work, because I've done the deep work. It has been deep. It's been hard. And I want to offer this gift to other people. And so, I've asked myself some really deep questions, and it's, spiritual gangster 2.0 level work. And so if a person is feeling stuck or sick or sad, I don't know necessarily like why questions, but what is causing me to stay in this? And, the answers, we don't have to think for the answers. The answers just usually kind of download to us. And if you can stay with that, if you can journal on it, then you can kind of find a place of like, oh, and when the answer comes to you, there's no judgment in it. It's like, oh, it's an awareness. And when we can take personal responsibility for like, oh, this is what's causing this, then you can move on. And as soon as you move on, there'll be something else, but eventually you kind of get to the end of the rope, and it's like, oh my gosh, I've just cleared all of that up. And I would say the other thing too, back to what we were talking about previously, is like when you take that step of like, you know what, I am not willing to stay stuck, sick, and sad any longer. Like, I want to heal for my kids, I want to heal for myself, like whatever's going to motivate you. Maybe it's finances, maybe it's a relationship, whatever, you money is usually a big driving factor in it. And so that can kind of maybe be a catalyst for like, oh, I do desire to be in a job or a relationship or whatever it is. Let's ask myself these questions that will lead me to freedom and personal responsibility. And again, I'll just remind the listeners, like, personal responsibility is literally just the ability to respond to the situation, to the person that cut you off in traffic, person, place, and thing. Is just how you are responding to it. And so are you responding to it like they shouldn't have cut me off in traffic? Or it's like, oh, I can respond to it a different way. I can respond to it as they were in a hurry, they cut me off in traffic, has nothing to do with me. I can move on. And that's how you begin to find freedom and power in your life.
Yeah, wow. So good, Sarah. I'm thinking for myself, I was very resistant to journaling for many, many years. And I wonder how you encourage your clients, the people that work with you, like the importance of journaling and what they'll get out of it. I will say I journal now, like almost every day, just noticing what I'm noticing, feeling my feelings.
Yeah, I have been journaling since I was a kid, kind of process some of the things that I was going through. And then I took I took a significant break of journaling because of things in life. And then just in the last couple of years, going through my spiritual rebirth again, I started a very dedicated journaling practice. And so I write 2 pages every morning and a page every night. And I will say this, we kind of put a pin in that for now, but journaling a page at night is probably one of my favorite practices that I do for myself. It clears your brain. You can write more. I have a commitment to write a minimum of 1 page. And it provides sleep, it provides rest. If something happened during the day, you can write that out. And so I really like the free flowing. There's like morning pages, there's many different adjectives for the style of writing. I just kind of call it like free writing. Just literally write what's coming to you. Like, this person cut me off in car. My favorite color is blue, and I'm so angry. And why did this person do this? And you're just like literally dumping your brain out onto paper. And when you do this process, like day in and day out, it really does change. Like, it rewires your brain because it's not stuck in here anymore. And so journaling is like one of my loves. And I have like 30 different colored pens. So I use a different colored pen every day. I have a whole stack of beautiful journals. And it really helps clear what's in your brain. You can go back and also like, oh, I was facing that a month ago or a year ago or whatever date it was. And it's just really helpful kind of see, it's like a scrapbook in a way, of like, oh, I was here and now I've grown. Oh, interesting. Or that was the question. That was what I was struggling with at that time. And you can kind of chart your progress. And so that's one of like, it's a non-negotiable for me and for my clients that you must journal. You must write. And I specifically really write with a notebook and a pen. You can use a pencil too, not computer. There's something psychologically and body wise embodying of really writing it out versus using a computer or a phone. You can take notes on your phone or whatever, but to really have that morning meditation of, I'm going to write 2 pages, I'm going to write a page at the night. So you can bookend the day, and that the day isn't going to bed with you. You can kind of put it to rest, and you get to wake up the next morning and write about your dreams or whatever is going on. So writing is a really powerful practice. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just write what's coming. Nobody's going to see it, and just write your heart out.
I love that so much. And Sarah, please tell our listeners where they can find you and if you have any last tip for them.
Any last tip? Well, I could keep on talking for a while. I guess my last tip would be to really see where you are struggling in life and ask yourself, what is causing this struggle? What is causing me to stay in this struggle? Where am I not willing to change? Am I scared of it? Am I afraid of it? What's going to be on the other side? And just kind of sit with that question for a little bit and journal on that question, see what comes up, and know that everything that you desire, all the answers, you already have them. And you don't have to earn a damn thing. You just have to receive. And when you come from a place of like receiving, things really open up for you. There's a lot more tips, but I'll end with that, I guess. People can find me hoperosespeaks.com and Instagram, Hope Rose Speaks as well. And yeah, I offer a variety of different programs: wellness, workplace wellness, one-on-one coaching, group coaching, membership program where you're just looking for a container of different healing modalities that is financially accessible. That's a really good place to start as well. And this work is super important, not just for yourself, but for our entire world. And when you heal, we all heal together. So thank you for doing the work. Keep it up. I'm proud of you. And let's do this together.
I love that so much, Sarah. Mahalo. Thank you for being on today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest is Phoebecates Perez. She is a certified rapid transformational therapy and somatic breathwork practitioner. She specializes in helping soulful entrepreneurs release emotional blocks and stress through deep experimental healing. And her approach combines body-mind integration and plant medicine to facilitate rapid and lasting transformation. She is passionate about guiding her clients toward inner peace, emotional freedom, and overall well-being. Thank you so much, Phoebe, for being here. Please tell us a little bit more.
Oh, thank you so much. I just want to acknowledge you all for doing this and having this space for your listeners. Yeah, where will I start? All begins from my own journey. So yes, I'm a certified with all the things modalities that I personally use in my own journey. Because as a young child, my parents left me when I was 1 year old. And I grew up with a very chaotic family. I grew up with alcoholic, drug addict, my uncles just, killing guns and bloods and just like very violent growing up. And I grew up, didn't know that it affects my life. I had so much anxiety. I become also addicted to alcohol and just PTSD and name it all, anxiety, depression. So I went to my own journey into that looking for help because it just went to the point as what you mentioned. Thank you being for honest. That's what your son that went through that didn't want to live. And I've been there. And that's why I become so passionate. And I just took my background in nursing. I graduated, but I never worked as a nurse. And I know deep down when I was still in hospital doing my training that I don't want to be here being in the sick. And now I realize looking back, it's because I want to help people heal emotionally. And then it just passed me through into my own journey. So yeah, now I am so passionate in just helping people and realizing that there is a different path and we heal through people because we got our pains through people. So when we are in a safe container, it's easier for us to really move through because as what Sarah, I love what everything she mentioned and it really speaks to me. So yeah, my approach is bottom up. The personal development, it's great, amazing, mindset, right? But this is only 5%. This is only 5% the conscious awareness. That's why no matter how much we try to change, no matter how much we try to be better for ourselves, no matter how much we try to be eating great food, but still it seems like there's something that stops us. That is our subconscious mind. And for sure, maybe your listeners are familiar with it. Our subconscious mind is our body. It's the 95% program, as what Sarah said, from 0 to 7 years old. I like to explain it more like when we are a child, we came into this world so pure, innocent, and empty, no meaning in life, right? And as we grow up from that age, it's like we absorb, we are like sponges. We take in healthy, unhealthy, good or bad. It created and absorbed, and it's like an empty computer. So it become our program, it become our identity. So up until now, maybe me, my old self was abandoned from my parents. I always believe in my past as growing up, and I know that nobody loves me. I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I cannot connect. And this is just not me. This is everyone. As long as we are human, we're mechanical beings. So we live from our mind. That's why no matter how much we try to be, again, it's programmed. So it's automatic. We're running autopilot. So every day at science base, we're running 80%, 90% programmed by our past. Until now, we're living in our past generations of generations, and the DNA in our ancestor is still living and alive and frozen in our body. And that's why this healing, this inner work starts from us for the next generation to come. And my heart just goes out to people because we don't know. And that's why my approach is really unblocking the emotional, expressing the suppressions that we have through our journey, our generations of all. So allowing, having a safe space to release emotionally from the body somatically through our breath. And that's why breathwork is a very, for me, it's a very helpful tool because it's the portal from our conscious and subconscious mind. So through our breath, it might be so simple, but it's very profound when we are held. And sometimes our mind doesn't have to understand. There's the suppression is actually stored in the body. and the body knows, it has innate wisdom, it knows how to express. So, yeah.
Wow. And for people that don't know what somatic breath work is, could you please explain a little bit more?
Yeah, so somatic breathwork, soma means of the body. So as I mentioned, our body is the nervous system. Our nervous system is the antenna. We also have this part of our brain that connects to the smell, senses, the noise that reminds our body. So everything that has been stored that we haven't have a space or unprocessed or suppressed emotion, that's why we get activated, we get triggered because it's been there. So it's there. Our nervous system is so wise that it's there to be activated. But what we do, just like a child, we say, don't feel that, don't cry, don't feel whatever that we've been learned, right? So we suppress. So imagine that filing this and all that, and then just one simple thing, or what he said, she said, or whatever, what he did or not, it's like activated us. So that's why the somatic breath work, it's like clearing the antenna, clearing your subconscious mind, clearing the things that haven't processed or haven't been out, so that you have the clarity, things that you can feel in your life with more meaning, with love, joy, and bliss. And also through somatic breathwork too, it's going through the emotions that we really suppress, like as what we connotate a negative emotion. There's no such negative. All emotions are just welcome, as good as our joy, peace, but also our sadness, our grief. We don't have space for that. So in this somatic breath work, I hold it's like having harmonized and really integrating both, that is allowed, that you're allowed to have all parts of this, parts of human spectrum and parts of us human beings.
That's amazing. So when people are going through the somatic breath work, you are guiding them in breathing and maybe digging deeper in what some of their programs were.
Yeah, so there's two phases in the somatic breath work. But firstly, I love to educate people, just letting them know that there's nothing to memorize. They don't have to really think. It's dropping. We live in our life thinking, doing, right? In that space of somatic breath work, it's to connect to our body, to connect within, and to drop in to the body sensation, because we are intuitive, we are emotional being first, then our mind. So I guide them through music, movement, and touch. So, and then through my voice, they're able to excavate the root cause or whatever that comes up for them. And through the breath work, there is this releasing, clearing. First phase is activation. We go to the sympathetic, the fight, the freeze, or anything. We activate that so that we can activate the parasympathetic, which means the rest, the digest, the nervous system regulation, so that we can fill in our life, our body into a new way of being, thinking. Yeah, space for that. So there's two things, not just you clear, but also you take in what's your intention, how you want to feel, how you want to think, and giving your body a safety to release your body safe to reclaim your power to feel safe on accepting, receiving joy, love, or whatever that you want. So yeah.
That's so beautiful. Something I was thinking about is so release, when people are releasing, what kind, how can you tell they're releasing? Or I'm curious, what's going on with them, or are you feeling something too?
Yeah, so in our sessions, it's so powerful. There's a lot of ways of releasing, purging, you call it. Some people cry, some people shout, some people yell. And that's why it's not yet as open as like yoga or any kind of meditation, because we're really activating, and some people get triggered. And I used to be triggered in the word trigger too, because it's just like, oh, there's this energy charge. But now I'm like, when our trigger point is our portal to our liberation. When we can sit with our trigger, when we can sit fully on it, wow, there's so much things can be felt beyond that. And truly releasing, there will be tetany, like clumbing of the hand, because energy has been so stuck. And when their emotion is starting to move through you, has been suppressed for decades or years, then the muscles and the energy is stuck in maybe in your hand or in your leg or whatever parts. And some people too never had a space to cry or to be angry of. So I invite them to whatever haven't given them a space to express, because once we suppress, that's why there's so much of people are in depressed, because we haven't allowed to our body, our mind, and our soul to be just human.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I feel that. And I realize that I love when you said it's okay to feel our feelings. There's no good or bad or anything like that. Like our feelings are just our feelings. And I think that, when we're growing up, I mean, for myself, it was like, don't cry. Children are meant to, work and
Totally.
and
They know the best way.
yeah.
Yeah. We come to the world. What's the first thing we do? We cry, right? But then we have been taught, we've been conditioned. And me growing up, I was so sensitive. I could feel everything. And then my family, neighbors or friends, like, you're so emotional. And before I get emotional, and now I'm like, oh, because I feel everything. I feel so much alive. When we are sensitive, it means we're fully alive. When we can feel the deepest shame, guilt, whatever, we can feel so much deepest joy and peace and gratitude on the little things. So now I welcome everything, and now understanding, having so compassion about myself and to people who doesn't know. We're doing the best that we can to be human, but unfortunately, we have things to learn, to expand, new way of being.
Yeah, I've heard from different people also about, just as humans, we are shallow breathers, so we don't breathe properly. And I'm curious, what kind of tip would you give for people who want to, be able to breathe, feel their feelings, things like that?
Yeah, so the way to regulate our nervous system is deep breath into the nose and out to the mouth with a sigh. The slowest exhale, this is reactivate the parasympathetic. And there's so much breath work. I know that people say, do this. Follow this one, even if before sleeping or when you get activated, when you are just so stressed, overwhelmed with emotion. Breathe, feel your heart. You see as you breathe, expanding and slowing your breath, deep breath in, slowly as exhale to your mouth. And the more you get, the more your body is allowing to surrender, allowing to soften, and just connecting to that. Find your rep, find what suits you. And then activating your stomach, your heart, your head, breathing deeply. It's like a wave. So, yeah, that's the only way. We don't have to overcomplicate and have so much of different ways, but exhaling longer is the key. The way to relax the system. And telling yourself that it's safe to relax, that it's safe wherever you are.
I love that. It's safe to relax and it's safe wherever you are. Something I wrote down too is triggers are a portal to liberation. Oh my gosh. Please elaborate on that. I love it.
Yeah, so our triggers, our shadows, our blind spots, these are the things that we don't really talk about in the personal development, in the spirituality, right? It's not about in the judgment space of think positive, think light and all that. When we allow to really sit what it's showing us, what is this trigger telling me? What I haven't looked into myself. And I like it to see our triggers are a mirror to ourselves that we don't see. So we get our triggers through people. So the world is our mirror. There's no separation, just like nutrition, like wellness and body, it's all interrelated. Same as our body, mind, and soul, and same as our trigger, our pains, our suffering, as well as our joy and greatness and peace. So when we can look and see this triggers, it's your pathway to liberation. Because as long as you're sitting and you've been run on these triggers, it's gonna run your life. But as long as you inquire, you question, you don't believe, and see it from a loving awareness and, ooh, what it's showing me, and have that inquiry of, okay, where am I life being run by my old program or beliefs or stories or patterns or whatever it's showing me, then again, when we're conscious and when we're aware, your step is healing. Consciousness heals. As long as we're unaware, we're subconsciously blinded with, it the healing can open up for us because we are in that bubble, we are in that loop of this is my reality.
I really, really align with a lot of the things you're saying too. You also said that touch activates to release. When you say activates, what do you mean by that?
So, we primal needs, to be seen, to be heard, to be touched, to be held. And as what Sarah mentioned, the trauma is not how big, it's subjective. It's not what happened to you, it's what happened within you. So when we are child, the primary needs of being seen, being held, right? Because busy moms and all that. So the touch, when we've been touched, when we're held, we felt like on that journey of when we were alone, when we're able to feel the energy connection that we've been craving and wanting and hunger for, and it activates something. So wherever you are in a journey, it depends on person to person. But I know in myself, I remember when I went through my own breathwork journey that I was having a deep breath and something came up and I was just having my own journey that I didn't understand. And then the practitioner came to me and held my throat and my shoulder and where the expression just went out. And that's why after that, I'm like, I want to be trained. This is the missing key. I love how I felt. And I think because I've been doing personal development, I've been doing therapy as a certified rapid transformation. I'm like, you're still in the body that stuck. And then it was like when I realized, wow, the body, the body is holding so much that even the mind can comprehend, even the mind can understand. Yeah.
That is really powerful. Thank you so much, Phoebe.
Mhm.
Please share with us if you have any last tips and where people can find you.
If there's something that my heart wants to share is be so easy on yourself. We're all doing the best that we can. And, this is my invitation. Who are you without your thoughts? Who are you without your past story, past program? And breathe through that. Come back to your heart. Live from your heart to your mind. So yes, you can find me Phoebecates Perez or Soulful Transformation in IG. I'd love to connect with this post to relate to you. And also, if you want to know more how I integrate with the plant, with the somatic work and root cause, this is my jam. I'm so passionate holding. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sarah, Phoebecates. We can all tell that you're so passionate about what you do. And I just wanted to thank the sponsor of our podcast, Mutual Aid Network. It's a fantastic organization, nonprofit, to where we take our strengths all around the world and we are able to lift each other up during that and be able to, for people that maybe can't afford it, trade our services and our strengths. So something that I love to do is I love to sing. So I love to sing karaoke and I will help host Zoom karaokes for Mutual Aid Network. So people from all over the world can just come and sing and just enjoy different types of song and music and company. So we appreciate mahalo to Mutual Aid Network for sponsoring. And then I also wanted to share a little bit about Frequence. So Frequence is frequency meets nutrition. So something that I'm really passionate about, everything is frequency, energy, and vibration. And when I take these products, it's reminding my body of the frequencies that are already within me. And I've had so many different people tell me what a difference it's made for them, reminding their bodies that the frequencies are, meant to be in their bodies. So as they take our mango lemonade nootropics, our trace minerals source, they are seeing miraculous, like, just changes within from inside out, putting frequencies into their bodies. So I just am super thankful for Frequence. And I think the last one I've heard is, a mom who was just all over the place, and she felt the sense of calm. Her brain was able to focus, and she was able to figure out what she's going to prioritize throughout the day. And when she got home, she was able to make dinner for her children instead of taking a nap on the couch. So just hearing those kind of stories warms my heart. I love Frequent so much. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, Marilyn Lemaire. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all the platforms. So mahalo again, Phoebecates, Sarah. I love you both. Thank you for being on today. And we will see you next month for World of Nutrition podcast. Mahalo.
Thank you.